A whole bunch of stuff in Destiny 2 was just changed in the recent mid-season patch, and today I wanted to give a personal rank to these changes from worst to best. My ranking is based on a few things, including how much I think it'll affect the meta overall, how much you as a player are going to feel these changes, and how much I personally care about each change. So if you guys enjoy the video, go drop a like and subscribe if you're new, and let me know what you think about these changes down in the comments below. Coming in at the very bottom, we have the changes to SMGs, which were only limited to changing the new experimental dynamic reticle on Shire's Wrath. Don't get me wrong, I do like the direction Bungie's going with this, including their fairly recent change to upgrade the reticle of many weapons in the game to give more visual information. Things like the fusion rifle visual charge-up change or the Ace of Spades Mori count. But even though changes like that are cool and I want more of them, seeing that as the only change in the SMG weapon column stinged a little bit too much for ya boy. Hopefully we'll be getting more substantial changes to SMGs in the near future. Next up, another disappointing change at the I sleep end of the patch spectrum, the change made to target lock. Target lock's maximum damage versus players in PvP has been reduced from 40 to 25%, leaving the damage unchanged in PvE. And if you're confused as to why I'm yawning on a change that was made with the sole purpose of hurting the viability of the Immortal SMG in PvP, it's because I'm feeling like this will hardly make a dent in the current meta overall, and we're going to see continued Immortal domination in PvP. A few numbers for you real quick. With Target Lock Immortal, it now takes 9 headshots to kill a Guardian at 8 Resil and up. If the Guardian has anywhere between 7 and 3 Resil, it'll take 8 headshots and 1 body shot, and if the Guardian has 2 or lower Resil, 7 crits and 2 body shots. The old numbers, if you were curious, were 8 headshots and 1 body for 8 Resil and up, 7 headshots, 2 bodies for 3 to 7 resilience, and then 8 crits for 2 Resil and under. And again, while I'm sure many of us will take anything we can get in the please lower the viability of Immortal department, this isn't really cutting it for me. I know a lot of times we get worried that Bungie will completely over-nerf something, but at this point, good lord, I would not shed a single tear if Bungie just whipped out and swung a gigantic baseball bat at Immortal or Target Lock's head in full view of everybody. This change to me is the equivalent of giving a $50 speeding ticket to a millionaire. It's not really going to hurt their wallet at all, and they're just going to keep driving wild and blowing through stop signs and running over children. Final change in the I sleep tier category, the change to Fighting Lion, which isn't really a buff because the entire change is Bungie making the exotic catalyst actually do what it's supposed to do, which it apparently was not doing before. When you fire the weapon, the catalyst gives you extra handling and accuracy to your kinetic and power weapons. I tested this in PvP, and the window of extra handling and accuracy is exactly 3 seconds long. You can see in my extremely zoomed in footage that the accuracy cone of my rose changes back to its normal size when the 3-second window is over. The problem, boys, with the Fighting Lion catalyst is that the 3-second timer begins the exact moment when I fire the Fighting Lion, not when the grenade itself detonates. The reason that is annoying is because I often manually hold down the trigger on Fighting Lion to precisely remote detonate my grenades at the exact right time, mainly because the blast radius is pretty tiny, and if you don't do that, you'll likely miss your target and deal no damage. But because the 3-second timer starts when I fire the Fighting Lion, not when the grenade itself goes boom, I'm wasting precious seconds while holding the trigger down trying to manually detonate my lion shot at the exact right time. TLDR, by the time I've swapped to a kinetic weapon to take advantage of the extra accuracy and finish off my now weak target, I barely have any better accuracy time left, which almost completely defeats the point of the catalyst. I kinda doubt most people will be very hyped about this change, with the exception of a few people who really know that when used properly, the Lion can be wildly dangerous and effective in PvP, depending on the game type and the map. Next, moving into the mid-tier, changes that you may feel a little bit more and things you may actually notice a bit in the meta. Starting with pulse rifle changes. Pulse rifles with low base aim assist, like the high impact subfamily, felt too forgiving on a near miss. To compensate, Bungie reduced the auto aim angle at 0 aim assist by around 10-ish%. Translation: the lower the aim assist on your pulse rifle, the less forgiving it will be on a near miss, which, I mean, it should be that way to begin with. Overall, not a bad change. Even though SMGs are running wild in the meta, high impact pulse rifles go hard in PvP right now, and I do agree they're a tad too forgiving to use. With the new change, I definitely noticed a few missed shots that I feel I probably would have gotten prior to the patch, meaning I actually have to aim a little bit harder now and lean a little bit more forward in my gaming chair. High impact pulse rifles will still crack an enemy really hard if you have rock solid aim though, so so don't expect weapons like the Phylotactic Spiral to completely tank in PvP overnight. Next, the change to lightweight bows, where the final accuracy of the weapon was improved by around 10%. I feel like this change will really only appeal to you if you're already a diehard bow lover in D2. About 99% of people I know who claim they enjoy bows actually mean to say, I only use Le Monarch, which, yeah, fair, because it's easy to use and obnoxiously effective in PvP. But anyone really doing backflips about the lightweight bow change was probably already very into bows to begin with. I did give it a whirl and will admit they do feel slightly more accurate, but to the majority of players, this will not be an enormous meta shakeup. If anything, you'll just take more of a pause and actually consider using a lightweight bow with a really sick roll instead of just instantly dismantling it right away. Next up, the change to Slick Draw, where the auto aim penalty was reduced by 33%. If you didn't know, Slick Draw gives a significant handling buff at the cost of harming your aim assist cone. Kind of a risky trade-off, to the point where before this change, I basically would dismantle a weapon on sight if it had that perk, because the penalty to auto aim was way too harsh. And while the penalty is still there, it's noticeably different in terms of weapon feel. I still may not use very many weapons with this perk, but now we're at the point where I'll actually consider it as opposed to immediately dismantling the weapon. I also like the concept of perks like Slick Draw, sacrificing one thing in order to get more of another thing. Hyper-cracked PvP players with god-tier aim may enjoy this change a lot more than the average player, as chances are they already have very good aim through a lot of practice, so there's a lot of high-end potential with the upgrade given to this perk. Moving on, we have the change to No Time to Explain. This one does hurt a little bit because I love shredding people with no time to explain, but it probably needed to be done because this gun is way too free on mouse and keyboard. The range stat has been pulled in by 10, and technically, as it is a high impact pulse, it's also slightly affected by the previously mentioned pulse rifle change. Good news to those who enjoy the gun, No Time to Explain can still put in a ton of work and is very lethal in PvP if you're accurate. Bad news to those who enjoy the gun, yeah, you definitely have to put in more effort to get the value out of the gun now. I can definitely feel the slightly less range, and the gun seems overall a tad less generous. Again, I do think this change was warranted, but the only reason I'm slightly worried is that now even more people on PC who may have been leaning on No Time may throw up their hands in frustration and say, it, I'll just put on an Immortal since their precious baby has been nerfed. But yeah, overall a warranted change. My final change in the I'm slightly awake tier is the change made to Gutshot Straight. Gutshot gives you slightly better body shot damage at the cost of auto aim cone size. Translation, better body shot damage, but you might have a harder time landing shots. As mentioned with the Slick Draw change, I like the idea of risky in-game trade-offs, getting more of X by sacrificing a little bit of Y. The reason I'm ranking the Gutshot Straight change higher on the how much I care rank chart is because I value free damage buffs a little bit more than extra handling. The viability of Gutshot is 100% going to vary from weapon to weapon at this point. Some weapons may not perform drastically better at all. I mean, technically, if you're perfectly accurate all the time, Gutshot will never help you, but we've all missed shots before. No player has a 100% accuracy rating, except for those bastards who run around cheating in trials with perfect accuracy cloud strikes, of course. But Gutshot can help you get easier kills in PvP. For example, on a 140 RPM hand cannon at certain levels of Resil, aka 7 and lower, you can get a kill with 2 headshots and 1 body via Gutshot, whereas without it, the other dude will live. I feel like some people might want Gutshot to get buffed a little bit more. When using updated Gutshot, I was still missing a few shots that I feel I would have nailed without the perk on. But I think this buff might be in the exact right spot right now. You have to still make taking the perk risky because that's the entire point of the perk. At the end of the day, I'm now going to be a little bit more considerate of checking out weapons with Gutshot rather than immediately casting them into the trash. Now, at the upper end of the spectrum, we move on to changes that I'm ranking highly, either because you'll notice them right away or they're fun or some other random reason that I approve of. And on that note, the buff to lightweight shotguns, which, if you didn't know, had their unique pellet spread angle pulled in a little bit on the outermost pellets. As you can see, the pellet spread on a lightweight shotgun by design is in kind of a diamond shape, and the problem was that the outermost pellets would sometimes miss hitting a close-up target because of that diamond shape. So the overall angle was tightened by about 15%. And even though you're probably not going to see a sky-high surge on lightweights due to this change, I think it's a good change because the diamond shape is just kind of too wide and it hurts the viability of otherwise fun shotguns like Reese Walker and Wastelander. And besides, slightly more viable lightweight shotguns gives us the player more options to use at mid and close range, which allows us to compete more with up-close SMG spammers who are again crushing the meta right now. And as expected, my highest ranked change with a big thumbs up, the changes made to Graviton Lance. On the PvP front, Graviton's strength was cut back a little bit with both the reduced aim assist given by the catalyst and the damage reduction on the void explosion, but again, only in PvP. That change is really noticeable. In the land of the pre-patch, it was laughably easy to get super free multi-kills with the void explosion, and now, yeah, you'll definitely punish teams that huddle together too much, but it's not a way over the top reward for using the weapon no differently than you normally would. On the PvE side, Graviton got a 67% damage buff, which, according to Merc, is applied to both the direct impact damage and the damage of the Void Seekers. Check out my video linked below in the pinned comment for a full breakdown of the Graviton PvE buff, but in short, it is great. A wildly fun ad clear weapon that absolutely will enter my rotation of frequently used weapons in PvE moving forward. Head down to the comment section and tell me what changes you enjoyed most or don't care about at all. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you on stream.